This tutorial covers working with buildings in the Spectrum software. We'll show you how to add a building to an existing property, as well as modify information for a building that had been added to a property previously. We'll talk a little bit about the information required to be entered into the building information form, and more importantly about the correct format for the bin number itself. For this exercise, we'll be working with two properties, Moorpark Avenue and Brundage Lane. You'll notice that Moorpark Avenue does not currently have any buildings associated with it. The building grid is empty. Brundage Lane, on the other hand, has 10 buildings associated with it, and you can see them all displayed in the building grid. So let's get started by adding a building to the Moorpark Avenue property. The first thing that we want to make sure that we do is select the Moorpark Avenue property in the property grid. Again, you'll note that there aren't any buildings associated with the property and the building grid is empty. To add a building, simply move over to the Add button in the Buildings section and click on it, and that will open the building information form. The only information required to be entered into the building information form is the bin number. You'll note that when you're adding a new building, the bin number will always start out with CA for you because we know that we're in the state of California. The other information that you'll need is the physical address for the building, the city the building is located, as well as the zip code. So let's go ahead and add the first building in for the Moorpark Avenue property. We'll enter in the building number, the address of the building, the city, and the zip code. And that's all there is to it. You'll notice once the information is entered, the blue highlighting goes away. That's because the information is complete, and in the case of the bin number is correctly formatted. We'll talk about an incorrect format bit for a bin number when we talk about editing an existing building in the other property. Once you've entered all the information, simply select the OK key, and that will take you back to the buildings grid, and you can see where the building's been entered. Let's go ahead and add one more building to this property. Again, we'll move over and select the Add button. The building information form is displayed, and we'll go ahead and enter the information for the second building. The address for this is a little bit different. The city is the same, as is the zip code. Again, that's all there is to it. Once you've completed the information and verified its accuracy, select the OK button, and the building will be saved and added to the grid. Information on how to go ahead and then add units for each one of the buildings is included in a separate tutorial. For the second part of this exercise, let's go ahead and modify some information for an existing building in the Brundage Lane property. We'll first select it in the property grid. You'll notice in the building grid that building D is missing the city. This is indicated by the blue highlighting in the city column for building D. Let's go ahead and modify the information for building D. Before we go ahead and edit the information, I do want to call your attention to the format column here. The problem with all the bins in this particular property is they're utilizing the 4-digit year of allocation code. An X in the FMT, which stands for format column, indicates that the format for that particular bin is incorrect. So we'll go ahead and edit building D because the bin number is incorrectly formatted, as well as it's missing the city. So again, make sure that building D, or the building that you want to work with, is selected in the grid. Once it's selected, instead of the Add button, you'll want to select the Edit button now. This displays the same building information form with the information that is available loaded into the form. You note that the two pieces of information that have a problem are the city, because it's missing, that's highlighted in blue, and the bin number because it's incorrectly formatted, which is highlighted in blue as well. So let's go ahead and update this by first adding in the city, and the building is in Bakersfield. Now let's take a look at the bin number itself. Again, this bin utilizes a 4-digit year of allocation, which is incorrect. There are a couple of different ways that you can check the format for the bin if you're not familiar with how they should be formatted. You can select the Check Format button. This will pop up a small box indicating what might be wrong with the bin number. In this case, it's indicating that the bin number is 11 digits long, when in fact it should only be 9 digits long. You do want to keep in mind that the digit count does not include the dashes that may be included in the bin number. So we know that this bin number is too long. Another way of understanding what the bin number, how the bin number should be correctly formatted, is to select the Format Help button. And this will open up a small screen that will give you the specific instructions on how a bin should be formatted. The correct format is shown here. The bin should always start out with the 2-digit state code, which in this case is CA for California, followed by YY, which is the last 2 digits of the allocation year. In the example that we're using here, that would be 02. The PPP is the project specific number provided by TCAC, and it's the 3-digit code from the application for the bin. The last 2 digits, NN, is a building number within the project, and this is usually a sequential serial type of number. Generally it's 01, 02, 03, etc. So in this example, a property with a TCAC number of CA 2010-140 would have bins entered as CA for the state code, 10 for the last 2 digits of the 4-year digits of allocation, and then the serial number, in this, then the 3-digit application number, which in this case is 140, followed by the 2-digit serial number. So you have CA 10, 140, 01, 02, and 03. So the problem here is there's too many digits in the year of allocation section of the bin. Simply removing the 20 from the 20,002 will correct the format. And you'll notice once the format has been corrected, the blue highlight goes away, indicating that the bin is now correct. Again, an incorrect bin number is highlighted in blue. Once it's corrected, it'll automatically, the blue highlighting will automatically disappear, and you'll know that you've got at least it correctly formatted. And that's pretty much it. So this bin is now correctly set up, and the information for it is complete. And information on the bin can be submitted to HUD. You'll notice that once it's been, we save it by selecting the OK button. We come out here and the format button, the formatting column is now clear of the X. There's also no blue highlights, as well as the HUD information is cleared, because in this case the building information is all correct and the units are not missing any HUD data. There is a separate tutorial regarding providing a lot of information about how to locate and correct missing HUD data. But that's pretty much it for adding and editing a building, and that ends the tutorial for working with buildings in the Spectrum software.